Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope that you're all doing well and that you're enjoying my channel. Today I'll be talking about my early school experience in Jamaica, West Indies. The first school I attended in Jamaica was the Bethabara Infant School, which is located in Newport, Manchester. I started that school at the age of 3. When I attended the school, the principal there was Miss Palmer. I can remember some of the teachers there at the time were Miss Dawes, Miss Samuels, Mrs. Anderson, and Mrs. Morgan, who later on became a principal of the said Bethabara Infant School. I can also remember the cook. Her name was Marva. She gained the name Micey Marva because there were 2 Marvas in the community and her husband's name was Micey, so they call her Micey Marva to differentiate between the two. And when I tell you that lady could fry some dumplings, she would prepare fried dumplings, chicken, rice and peas, cornmeal porridge, strawberry milk, and a wide variety of delicious lunches throughout the days. I can also remember sports day. We would have sports day and do so many fun activities, but the playing field was all the way to the church gate because most Moravian churches there on a hill. So the whole school area there was hilly, so we'd have to go down to the gate for sports day to use the playing field down there. I remember we used to do the leapfrog race. We would be jumping in bags. We would do the egg and spoon, but we really wouldn't have eggs. We would have lime. So we'd have a lime in the spoon running from one end to the next. And we'd also have math race. Simple little math that, infant school kids were capable of doing in a race. And that was so much fun because our parents would be there, our siblings, and we would get ice cream and little gifts, for the children who run the fastest. And for even most discipline, that is something we'd always get a gift for, most discipline. So sports day was just really fun. Attending the Bethabara Infant School was one of the most valuable and loving experiences of my life. And until today, it still impacts on my life in a positive way. I learned so many things at the Bethabara Infant School. Even the nursery rhymes we learned there, I can remember them as if they were taught to me yesterday. Another thing that comes to mind as I'm talking is that Miss Morgan used to have a brown car, and I remember every day she would drive from school back to her house, maybe between about 9 and 10 a.m. in the morning to get her suck because we didn't have a fridge at the school. And just in case you wonder what suck-sucks are, we call them suck-suck or sky juice. That is juice you make from syrup or quench-aid, Flavor-Aid or Kool-Aid. But after you mix the drink, you would put it in a poly bag, tie it, and once it is frozen, then you would nip off a corner and suck it out the bag, hence the name suck-suck. And thinking back, that took a lot of devotion because Miss Morgan did not live near to the school, but she did that for us every day. And something else that I remember clearly are the graduation ceremonies. I remember Miss Cons, she used to come to school during the season for graduation, and she would play the organ at the church. She was the overall organ player at the church, and that is the Bethabara Moravian Church I'm talking. So she would come there and she would practice with us in the evenings. And I think the tune she would play was, let me think before I get this out. It was like, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, something like that. And we had to march into the church. We couldn't walk, so that is what we mainly practiced, to march inside of the church. And when graduation time come around, everybody wanted to go, and we all love graduation, even if we don't know anybody that was graduating, because beside from sports day, graduation day is the only day we would have ice cream, because for us then ice cream was a luxury. And so when you go to graduation, somebody would buy you an ice cream. But besides the ice cream, graduation was fun because majority of the children, they would get prizes and gifts for different reasons, like for best attendance and most dutiful child. I didn't say beautiful, I said dutiful. Most dutiful child, or the child that excelled the most in class. And during graduation, everything was just, back then being so small and thinking back now, it was just like me being at the Oscars. It was just a well-organized ceremony. And how could I forget one of the most wonderful human beings I know, Mrs. Joan Smith. She's a wonderful lady. I don't remember if she was a principal or teacher at the school, but she was always there. And whoever knows Miss Smith can tell you, she's a lady of discipline. She's always like, stern and firm, but very loving, very friendly lady. And most of the people who graduate from Bethabara Infant School or Bethabara Primary School have a picture in front of Miss Smith's Ford Cortina. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Cortina is a 1600 Cortina. That was a beautiful car. And besides Miss Smith Cortina, there's a cotton tree there. As I said, everybody who attended Bethabara Primary School or Bethabara Infant School have a picture in those areas that I mentioned. But as I said, it was just a beautiful thing. Being at the school, experiencing all of that, it was a get-together time, a family time, and just a fun time. The only sad thing about graduation is that you'll be leaving your infant school teachers and going to the feeder school across the street, which was, we call it big school, but it is a Bethabara Primary School. Back then it was the all-age school. So overall, school life back then, it was just fun. And some of the things I remember talking here, and even when I get off the camera here, I know I'm going to say, Karen, you didn't remember to say that. But that is how our memories are. But overall, as I said, it was just a very good experience. And I mentioned the primary school. So we would be at infant school from grade 3 to 6 years. At 6 years, we graduated and we went over to the Bethabara All-Age School. When we get to the Bethabara All-Age School for grade 1, I think the teacher at that class was Miss Butler. And grade 1 was in the open-air classroom. The principal at the time there was Mr. Travers Spence. He was a disciplinarian, but very loving person, and his wife, Mrs. Spence. Some of the teachers at the Bethabara All-Age School then were Mr. Clark, Mr. Lawrence, Miss Lindsay, two Mrs. Griffiths, Mrs. Anderson and Miss Anderson, and Mrs. Evans, no, sorry, not Mrs., Miss Evans, Miss Law, and I'm sure there are other teachers that I'm not remembering right now. And you also have Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson was the person who really got us into agriculture at the Bethabara All-Age School. But let me go back to what I was talking about. Yes, the open-air classroom where Miss Butler was, that is the first class we would go to. And then from there, we would, move around the school until time for common entrance. So if you pass your common entrance, you would then move on to either Manchester High School, Bishop Gibson, or the Carteret College. It wasn't like now where most schools are like some kind of high school or junior high school. It was just those three schools at the time. So if you didn't pass your common entrance, then you would stay back and do it the following year. And as new kids in the school, we would get to go out for recess and lunchtime before the older kids. And back then, Bethabara was a shift school. So one shift began at 7:30 to 12:15, and the second shift was from 12:30 to either 5 or 5:30 in the evening. So being at the all-age school now, you kind of felt like a big kid, but you weren't too big. You were like really small and down there, But it was just fun. And we also had sports day at Bethabara All Age School. I remember they had the houses. Allen was greenhouse, Fletcher was blue house, Cuthbert was red house, and Alexander was yellow house. Alexander came dead last every year. Allen, that house was always first, Fletcher second, and Cuthbert would come in third. In front of the school, going into the schoolyard, there is a new section now. Where that new section is, all of that area used to be the tracks for our sports day. So we would be all over that area there, running up and down, enjoying ourselves. But one thing I can remember about the sports day is the glucose. Whenever you run, they would give us glucose in our hands, so we would lick it out of our hands. And I couldn't run, but I wanted the glucose. So when they asking for names of people who are going to run, I would put up my hand. Me, teacher, I'm going out there. And I would be last or second to last. But guess what? At the end, I got the glucose. And I felt good. I went to sports day, I got glucose, and I did run. So it was a good experience, being there. And I also remember Mrs. Smith, as you remember I mentioned her before, Mrs. Jones Smith being at the Bethabara primary school as well. But as I said, I cannot remember if she was a teacher or principal, but she was in between both schools. And I remember the tuck shop, the sellers in the tuck shops. You had Miss Hortense and Miss Mass. They sell a variety of stuff, but I used to buy a patty for my lunch, or onion bits. I remember onion bits used to be $4. Or sometimes I'd buy half of a bag juice and onion bits or a patty. Sometimes I would take lunch at the canteen. I remember Miss Curdell used to cook in the canteen. Miss Curdell was from Lancaster. And when Miss Curdell cooked dumplings and you buy your lunch, 2 or 3 of that dumpling, you're full. So it was a good experience, and I know kids now going to the same school, they'll never have the same experience and fun that we had going there. But getting the opportunity to share the fun we had and the experiences, at least they can look and say, oh, well, we won't be having that kind of fun. And I also remember Miss Law. Miss Law used to keep extra lessons. The extra lessons were for kids who would sit the common entrance exam. So those extra lessons were to get us advanced. So we would have, we use the same books, the same class books we use. Those were the same books we used for extra lessons. It is just that she would go over what we did the day before and what we'll be doing in class. So it was like a revised thing of what we'll be doing to get us, as I said before, advanced for our common entrance. And we would do that like from about 10 in the morning or 10:30 to about 11 or 11:45. And that was for a lesson class. And I remember before lunch and after lunch, we had to say grace. That was a must. And after lunch, we would stand in front of the main office in straight lines. Nothing like this, no zigzag, a straight line, because Mr. Spence would make sure of that. And while we're standing there, I remember we'd have to sing. I think it's, thank you for the world so sweet. Thank you for the food we eat. Thank you for the birds that sing. Thank you, Lord, for everything. Amen. Maybe I mixed the lines in between, but yes, it was something like that. And after that, we would march inside in a straight line, and we'd have to sit there quietly for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. And after that, we'd go back to our regular work, but it was just an experience that I know going back to school. Now, if I should go back to school, you would never experience that kind of thing, because everything was just like, a child's play. It was just fun. And I remember leaving Bethabara All Age School at grade 4 to Prattville Primary School. But Prattville Primary School is for another video. So for now, I'm going to end this video here. So as always, I hope that you have enjoyed my video. Leave your comments if you're a student or a past student of the Bethabara Primary School or Infant School or All Age School. Definitely share your experiences and let's get this thing going. Thanks for watching.